It's just crazy, man. I feel like, once you have 7 different fighters that come up positive in your camp, for performance enhancing drugs, I think somebody should take a look at that camp like, hey, what are they doing in there? You know what I mean? But nobody wants to ask questions. Nobody wants to say nothing. So it's not even
100% confident in himself. I don't know why he wouldn't fight me, especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he never got off
You think
steroids.
he's on steroids?
Of course. Sure. How does
You saw De La Hoya
how do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
David Benavidez has erupted over Canelo's drug scandal, calling for a full investigation before any fight with Crawford takes place. He claims Canelo and his team have a history of steroid use, citing multiple past violations. Benavidez questions why boxing seems to protect its top stars while overlooking clear evidence of PED abuse. He has sparked controversy by pointing out that no formal investigation has been launched despite 7 positive PED tests linked to the camp. From his viewpoint, the silence from governing bodies suggests favoritism, where big-name fighters get protection while lesser-known athletes would face immediate consequences. For Benavidez, ignoring 7 violations risks harming the sport's credibility.
Crazy, man. I feel like, once you have 7 different fighters that come up positive in your camp, for performance enhancing drugs, I think somebody should take a look at that camp like, hey, what are they doing in there? You know what I mean? But nobody wants to ask questions. Nobody wants to say nothing. So it's not even, I find that kind of really messed up, and it's really biased, because if it was our camp, we had 7 guys coming out positive for steroids, they'd be like, man, you guys need to take that guy's license away. You can't let him move around like that. And we would be suspended right away. But, the cash cow always wins. Some people like to stay quiet. Some people don't like to say nothing. But that's 7 guys. That's 7 different people. That's 7 different people. And that's just something that you cannot ignore no more.
Wild, man. I mean, if 7 different fighters from the same camp test positive for performance-enhancing drugs, someone should be looking into what's going on there. But no one asks questions. No one says anything. It's really messed up and biased. If it were Phil's camp with 7 positive steroid tests, people would be calling to revoke his license immediately. Those fighters would be suspended right away. But with a cash cow like this, the rules seem to bend. Some people stay quiet, some don't want to speak up, but 7 fighters testing positive? That's 7 different people, and you just can't ignore it anymore.
I just feel like everybody's going to say that, they don't know what happened, or I think just Canelo needs to stop having barbecues at his house. That's what needs to stop happening.
Yeah, it's definitely an issue in the sport, and I think the only way to resolve it, right, is that everyone needs to be on 365 testing. Are you in support of that?
I'm support that. It's just crazy that, I didn't really know how big of the problem with steroids was, but people really be out here taking steroids. You know what I mean? And at the end of the day, like that takes away from you as a man if you're trying to be as good as you can, and then you have to take another performance enhancing drug to get there. That kind of takes away from chasing the greatness. But I mean, that's just the way I think. I don't know how everybody else thinks. I don't cut corners. When it's time to train, I'm not scared of hard work. I'll work 3-4 months, and that's just how it is with me. But I don't know how other people think.
Continuing his criticism, Benavidez tore into the usual excuses that follow PED scandals, insisting it's time for year-round drug testing for every fighter. He believes this would remove the loopholes some athletes use to hide behind. From his perspective, performance-enhancing drugs steal opportunities from clean fighters and undermine the core values of boxing: discipline, hard work, and natural talent.
Canelo, whatever happened at 168. I want to go back to 160. I'm good at 175. I'm world champion here. So if you want to come up to fight at 175, I'm all good with that. But right now, I can't live in this fantasy world where, like, oh, maybe I'm going to get this fight, maybe this and that. I've done my job. I've done everything to get this fight. It's one of the biggest fights in boxing. If a person don't want to make it happen, I'm not going to waste my time trying to make a fight happen with a person that doesn't want to fight me. So I'm just trying to fight the people who are really trying to.
Despite talk of dropping back to 168 for a fight with Canelo, Benavidez is standing firm at 175 pounds. He says he's earned his spot and won't chase what he calls a fantasy matchup. The chance to make that fight happen was open long enough, and now he's focusing on opponents who are actually willing to face him in the ring.
He has a lot of experience. This is his 3rd time at a world title, so I know he's going to leave it all on the line, November 22nd. But like I said, I like to go to war too. I'm not going to back down from him. He's not going to back down from me. So let's have some fun. November 22nd. Let's give the people what they want to see. Like I said, any shot could change the fight. So like I said,
He wants to go to war. We're okay with that. Let's go to.
David's focus right now is on Anthony Yarde, set to fight on November 22nd. Benavidez expects a full-on battle, recognizing that Yarde, in his third world title attempt, will come with everything he's got. Benavidez vows to match that intensity and put on a performance that will keep fans on the edge of their seats.
Versus Crawford.
Well, I'm a giant Crawford fan because I think he's the best switch hitter since Marvin Hagler. I also think Canelo is slowing down, and Canelo is more of a one-punch fighter now than the combination fighter he was when he was younger.
Do you think Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, I think he can win.
Okay.
I don't know if he's going to win, but I think he can win. He's going to have to box a brilliant fight.
If Ray Leonard could beat Marvelous Marvin Hagler, then Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. Why do you say that? Same equation. Get in, get out. Get in, get out.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. He's got to figure the angles and the approaches that will allow him to step in, land to the body, or occasionally upstairs, and then get out.
While Benavidez doubts a fight between Canelo and Crawford will happen, Joe Rogan sees it differently. Rogan believes Crawford has the brains and skill to outmaneuver Canelo despite the size difference. He envisions a strategy focused on constant movement, precise entries and exits, similar to Ray Leonard's famous win over Marvin Hagler. Rogan also suggests that Canelo's recent reliance on power punches could work against him. Canelo versus Crawford.
Confident in himself. I don't know why he wouldn't fight me, especially since, seeing that everybody in his team is on steroids, which means including him. So he never got off.
You think
steroids.
he's on steroids?
Of course. How does five?
You saw De La Hoya call him out.
How do five people out of your camp get tested positive for steroids?
Right.
You know what I mean? No, all those fucking dudes in that.
Still, Ben stands firm that Canelo and his team cannot be trusted. Pointing to 5 previous PED violations connected to Alvarez's camp, he calls the entire group dirty. He also questions why a supposedly confident champion like Canelo keeps avoiding him, suggesting that the evasiveness and past violations speak louder than any public statements.
Terence got to be Terence, bro. He's a real deep thinker. He processed fights like nobody else. And he's processed this Canelo fight. He's seen it. He went through it 2 or 3 times already. He knows how this ends. You can tell the way he shadow boxes. He visualizing Canelo being right there in front of him. You understand? Look at the movement. That's all you got to do. Look at the movement. And that's the type of master boxer that Canelo is going to be facing. And the only thing I say is Canelo hasn't faced an opponent like this in a long time. You know what I mean? I think Canelo's going to have to go back to the Caleb Plant fight and look that good, that active, that, you feel me, moving with that type of grace to beat Terence Crawford. Because weight ain't going to make the difference. It ain't going to be the weight. It's going to be the skill set. It's going to be the skill set and how bad they want it. Because both of them going to get challenged.
Meanwhile, Antonio Tarver agreed that Crawford is a serious threat to Canelo, calling him a master boxer who is already preparing mentally for the fight. Tarver highlighted Crawford's footwork and ring intelligence, noting that skill and determination could trump pure physical size. He also suggested that Canelo would need to return to his top form to handle such a challenge.
Bro, biggest fight of the century. I can't wait, man. I can't wait.
Canelo said he feels that Crawford is actually better than Mayweather. What did you make of when he said that?
Now, when you look at, I don't know, bro. I mean, when you look at the time he's facing, like right now, he's facing Crawford. He may mean that this time Crawford may be better than the Floyd that he faced way back when. Now, Floyd, when he fought Canelo, he was money made in. He wasn't pretty boy Floyd. He was money made, so he was making the transition. I kind of get what he's saying. Now, we can say this. Crawford, I think, has always been a better puncher than Mayweather. Punching-wise. You feel me? Hurting people, knocking them out, getting them out of there. I think his power has always been a little better than Mayweather. But skill set, skill for skill is hard, bro. It's hard to go against Mayweather. A guy that processed boxing better than anybody. Like, that's one of the thinkers in the ring, like me. We were thinkers, bro. We processed that shit like this, bro. You feel me? Speed, power. I need one round to figure out what I'm doing.
Also weighed in on Canelo's controversial claim that Crawford is better than the Floyd Mayweather Jr. he faced. He acknowledged that Crawford has more punching power, but stressed that Mayweather's ring intelligence was unmatched. Tarver described both fighters as smart, tactical competitors, but reminded fans that surpassing Mayweather's legacy takes more than just natural talent.
Only because Terence Crawford is coming up 3 weight classes. Yeah. I don't want to say that he doesn't have the ability to hurt him. He obviously does. He's really technically sound. He's a great fighter. But sometimes when 3 weight classes is different. It's like if I'd go up right now trying to fight Anthony Joshua or Gypsy King, you know what I mean? Like I believe I could win if I don't get hit, but if I get hit, you know what I mean, that you got to worry about that. So that's really just where I'm at with that. But I don't know, we'll see. You know, you never want to doubt Terence Crawford out, but you know, there's weight classes for a reason.
And lastly, Anthony Yarde, we mentioned how much is on the line for him. What are you expecting out of his game?
I'm expecting him to, be the best Anthony Yarde he is. You know, he's sharp. You know, he has good reflex. He has good defense. So this is why we took this fight, because he does a lot of stuff good, and that's what's gonna motivate me, to go in there, be on my P's and Q's, and make it a fight. At the end of the day, it looks like a juicy fight. It looks like he's not gonna back up. I'm not gonna back up. So,
however, Benavidez also voiced concerns about the rumored Canelo versus Terence Crawford super fight, warning that Crawford moving up 3 weight classes could put him at a major disadvantage. He emphasizes that weight divisions exist for a reason. Meanwhile, Benavidez is focused on his own upcoming fight against Anthony Yarde, expecting a sharp, technical, and relentless battle with high stakes.
Are you saying, do I think that Crawford is better than Mayweather? At fighting, I think that.
Well, he didn't really make it clear.
I think that Crawford is fighting. I think Crawford is fighting a different Canelo than Floyd has. A much better version Canelo than Floyd fought. So that's why I think the difference is.
Another perspective, Devin Haney views Crawford as a serious threat to Canelo, particularly since Alvarez is now more experienced and durable than he was against Mayweather. Haney believes a win for Crawford would carry huge significance, far more than Floyd's victory a decade ago, because of the level Canelo has reached since then.
How does that play out? How do you see that fight win?
I just see a Tom and Jerry fight there. I think Crawford's a great fighter, Canelo's a great fighter, but Crawford's going 2 divisions, and I don't think he's going to stay in front of Canelo. He's going to try to win the fight, win by points and move around and not stay in front of Canelo. If I was Terence Crawford, I would not stay in front of Canelo because he's the bigger man and the bigger puncher. So I think we know what Terence Crawford's good at, winning fights and moving around.
Absolutely. Now, do you think that David can get the winner? He'll finally face Canelo? You think that fight will ever happen?
No, I don't think that fight will happen. But if there was somebody who could make that fight, it would be His Excellency Turki Al-Hashim, So, I don't think that fight is going to happen, but hey.
Boxing analyst Jose Benavidez also shared his view, predicting that Crawford would likely go the distance, relying on movement to secure a decision rather than engaging in a slugfest. He also expressed skepticism that a Benavidez versus Canelo fight would happen unless someone like Turki Al-Sheikh intervenes to make the blockbuster matchup a reality.
If I never get that fight, I'll be fine with it. I'm fine with it. Because I'm staying in my lane. I'm trying to fight. I'm trying to beat the other best in the world. But if that fight does happen, I'm going to be ready for it. And it's looking like it could happen. I have the belt at 175. Canelo says he only fights for greatness. He only fights for titles. That's what excites him. So now I got a title. You know what I mean? And I'm just going to keep winning these fights. And I'm not thinking about Canelo. But if it does happen, we're going to be ready.
And look, you're a big boxing fan. You know the sport as well as anybody as a top fighter. What are your thoughts on Canelo Alvarez against Terence Crawford?
I don't like it because Terence Crawford is coming up 3 weight classes. Yeah. I don't want to say that he doesn't have the ability to hurt him. He obviously does. He's really technically sound. He's a great fighter. But sometimes
While Ben stays focused on building his own legacy, he has recognized the growing buzz around a potential fight with Canelo, particularly after winning the 175-pound title. Still, he insists he'd be satisfied whether the matchup happens or not. He understands that the new belt puts him on Canelo's radar, especially if Alvarez is serious about chasing greatness. For now, Benavidez is concentrating on his current goals, but he's fully prepared if the opportunity for a showdown arises.
Hello, Canelo, we have something very personal. That's it. It's very personal. Ungrateful. That's all I can say. Ungrateful.
Are you picking him to beat Crawford?
It's a good fight. I think, look, I think there's weight classes for a reason. I mean, like every boxing expert should know, there's weight classes for a reason. Look, once the 5th, 6th rounds, pans out, is Crawford gonna feel the pressure? Is he gonna get tired? Because Canelo's gonna keep coming. I don't think Crawford has enough firepower to stop Canelo, but I don't think Canelo has enough ability to walk right through Crawford. Crawford is a very smart fighter. I like his chances, but again, there's weight classes for a reason.
Last one, this is a one-word answer. If you could settle any of these beefs we've talked about in the ring, who you fighting?
Hands down, Canelo.
Oscar de la Hoya didn't hold back discussing Canelo and Crawford. He described his relationship with Canelo as very personal, calling him ungrateful, while cautioning Crawford that size and late-round fatigue could play a role. Still, he acknowledged that both fighters have the grit to make it a close and exciting matchup. When asked who he'd rather face to settle things once and for all, he didn't hesitate. He said it would be Canelo.
Those comments.
Listen, I don't care what nobody else on the outside got to say. I can have dinner with you and then, at dinner. So it don't matter, what De La Hoya say or anybody else, I don't care.
Terence, what are the world going to find out about Terence Crawford on September 13th?
Well, they're going to find out how great I am. I'm going in there to be great. I'm going in there to, make history. So, the world going to find out all the questions that they've been asking. All the answers will be answered come fight night.
Terence Crawford, never one to hold back, dismissed Oscar's comments with a bold statement. With a fight set for September 13th, Crawford pledged to silence the critics and cement his place in boxing history, promising fans that his full greatness would be on display that night.
Fighters that you fought, they ain't on my level. And
I fought everybody.
The last fighters you fought since 2002.
Mention me one. You mention me one elite fighter. Just one.
You.
Oh, me.
Look,
it's gonna be me.
I don't care about nobody else.
And you will see that.
You. So when I beat you, is you gonna be a nobody? When I stump a mud hole in your ass, is you gonna be a nobody? Same everybody else been saying since I moved to 147, I ain't fought nobody. Every last one of them stump a mud hole in their ass and he gonna be next.
Crawford has also addressed the chatter about his record, insisting that every opponent he's faced since moving to 147 pounds has been outclassed. He warned future challengers and critics that the outcome will be no different. With unwavering confidence, he vowed to dismantle anyone in his path and leave no doubts about his dominance.
For Crawford, I mean, it's Canelo has the big advantage, but Crawford needs to manage well his body, his speed, and his power, because he's moving up to another level of weight.
I asked this because you did it with Margarito. You went to 54, and people were like, "Oh my God, this guy's so big, Margarito!" But your speed made the difference in that fight. Well, what advice would you give a smaller guy like Crawford to fight someone like Canelo, who's a lot bigger and stronger?
Preparing like that opponents, is not only the speed, but the techniques that you can use in the fight. Like, make sure that in your daily routine, training routine, like that, the techniques, strategy, combination, it's accurate to your opponent's style. You know what I'm talking about? Like, when you have a exam, a math exam tomorrow, you have to review right now a math subject. You don't need to review English subject or a science subject. You have to review math subject, because tomorrow you're going to have a exam. You're going to exam a math subject.
That's a hard exam.
Moving on, Manny Pacquiao recognized Canelo Alvarez's size advantage over Terence Crawford, emphasizing that Crawford must manage his body, speed, and power when moving up in weight. Drawing from his own victory over the larger Antonio Margarito, Pacquiao advised smaller fighters to focus on precision and strategies tailored to their opponent. He stressed that preparation should be as focused as studying only math for a math exam the next day.
I'm going to get to that. I asked the great Larry Merchant, 94 years old, living on Ocean Boulevard in Santa Monica, looking out at the ocean, reflecting on all the amazing things he did. And I asked Larry, I said, do you think Terence Crawford has a beat has a chance to beat Canelo Alvarez. And Larry said, Jim, did Ray Leonard get an official decision victory over Marvelous Marvin Hagler? And I said, yes, he did. He said, well, if Ray Leonard could beat Marvelous Marvin Hagler, then Terence Crawford can beat Canelo Alvarez. And I said, why do you say that? He said, same equation. Get in, get out. Get in, get out.
Yeah.
Over and over and over. He's got to figure the angles and the approaches that will allow him to step in, land to the body, or occasionally upstairs, and then get out.
Yeah.
Before he's facing any damage.
Right.
That's what Ray did so effectively against Hagler. And it frustrated Hagler. And the more you frustrate the opponent.
Building on Pacquiao's point about precision and discipline, veteran commentator Jim Lampley agreed with Larry Merchant that Crawford's best approach is a hit-and-move strategy. He compared it to Sugar Ray Leonard's plan against Marvin Hagler, striking quickly and retreating before taking damage. Lampley argued that this tactic could frustrate Canelo and keep Crawford ahead on the scorecards.
Canelo has such unique skills, and one of the weird things that he does that very few people since Rocky Marciano does is he punches your arms.
Yes.
He brutalizes your arms.
He's another brilliant guy.
However, frustrating Canelo is easier said than done. Joe Rogan highlighted Alvarez's unorthodox but effective tactic of targeting his opponent's arms. He compared it to Rocky Marciano's approach, showing how it slowly weakens a fighter's guard and limits their ability to counter as the fight goes on.
It's the greatest punch resistance in the sport. You know, we talked about it earlier. One knockout in the whole career.
Knockdown.
And it wasn't a knockdown. And it wasn't really a knockdown in my personal view. So, because he didn't touch the canvas. He's never been on the canvas. And we call it chin. And I think that we kind of missed the point by calling it chin. Because I used to be Canelo's neighbor in Del Mar, California, to Chepo, his senior trainer at the grocery store. I'd look into the cart and say, oh, he's eating tuna. And he said, yes. And he's eating chicken, da-da-da. And so I also used to go down the hill from my house off of Via della Valle in Del Mar and watch him train at the Equestrian Center, where he would go to the Equestrian Center in the morning and do 2.5 hours of hunter-jumper riding before going to his gym in the afternoon to do 3.5 hours of boxing training.
And if that wasn't enough, Rogan also praised Canelo's legendary chin, pointing out that he's never been truly knocked down. He credited this not only to natural toughness but also to Canelo's unique training methods, including horse riding, which builds core strength and balance, a detail Rogan observed while living near the champ.